Welcome to the Divine Hangout. I'm your host, Hillary Jubilee. It is my intention that when you listen to this podcast, you experience an increase in peace, abundance, and divine miracles in your life experience. If you love all things spirituality, wellness, healing, manifestation, and miracles, you are in the exact right place at the exact right time. Let's enter the portal together. Welcome back to another episode of the Divine Hangout. It's Hillary, and today's video is about the power of the imagination, as usual, but using it in creative and imaginative ways, not just, Neville Goddard's teachings for manifestation is law of assumption, assuming that you already are what you want to be, and then your outer reality just reflects the state that you're occupying. So that is a really good way to manifest, but there are different little imaginative, playful ways that you can use the imagination. One of them is from this book that I've talked about before on the podcast called A Course in Mastering Alchemy by Jim Self and Roxanne something. I forget her last name, but it's kind of like a Course in Miracles for the modern day kind of Course in Miracles vibe. And this one thing that they do in there is they talk about using roses in your imagination for multiple uses. So one, which I believe I've talked about this before, but it's super, super powerful, especially if you have overwhelming emotions or you, if you're just feeling overwhelmed or have shitty thoughts or shitty emotions, you can imagine, so they talk about a cord. So if you imagine an electrical cord with a spiraling cord on the outside of it. So one straight electrical cord with a spiral around it. And you imagine that coming through the bottom chakra, so the base of your spine, through down into the earth. And you imagine in your imagination, this is all imagination, but it's so powerful. Some people might be oh, well, what's that gonna do? You're just imagining. Imagination is the only reality. So what you are doing creatively with your imagination, it is actually real. So no matter how mystical or magical it may sound, if you're just try it and the results are so crazy, you'll start to feel better. So you're imagining this electrical cord from the base of your spine to the center of the earth. So it's very strong. And right now it's off. But when you decide to turn it on in your imagination, the straight cord represents feelings, and the wrapping around, I believe, represents the thoughts. And it's feelings are magnetic and thoughts are electrical or something like that. And together they form this current. So you turn on the electrical current and you're imagining the energy coming out, all of the negative feelings and thoughts that are overwhelming you. You turn on the current and you feel them just draining out of you. And you're turning it on in your imagination and you're letting it happen. You're not doing anything. You're just, this is an electric current. It's pulling all of the negativity into the center of the earth and grounding it. So you just turn it on and just sit there and just enjoy the feeling of all of your worries, just being drained out of you. What does this have to do with the rose? I brought up the rose, but maybe this was a separate tool. This is just the grounding tool. This is one of many tools that they mentioned in that book. A really good one for the rose is you imagine a rose with a long stem, and you hold out your arm, and then you put your arm all around you with this long stemmed rose in front of you, and you hold, and it gives you this bubble of protection. And you can do it when you're driving. So you can imagine a rose with long stems to the ground on every corner of your vehicle, and just imagine that around you, and it protects you when you're driving. Or if somebody's really close to you, behind you on the car, driving behind you too close, imagine a rose in between, and then slowly imagine the rose going backing away from you, and the person will literally back off. Another kind of similar practice that I did was with using the imagination for a little kind of just imaginative play use. I was at a music festival for the last 2 weekends with Joe, and we were in the crowd. We were actually going to see, it was Melanie C that was playing. So she's Sporty Spice, and she's 49 now, but she was amazing, and she's just DJing. But we were watching her, and we were in the crowd, and it was the middle of the day, and there's all these wasps, and people had their friggin' hot dogs and like they had their food in the middle of the crowd, like eating in front of me. And these wasps were just like going crazy, like everywhere in the crowd. And so I just imagined like a bubble of energy going over the crowd and like making the wasps go away. Like I just imagined it just like being free of wasps and just like a divine pure energy in the crowd. And then no more wasps came. It's just like little things like that. It's so funny that we just like get caught up in day to day and like the standard way of society's thinking, and like this is logical, and like people just complain about what's wrong or complain about what's annoying. It's like, actually you could choose a different route, and you could choose to use your power to imagine something better for yourself rather than complaining about what is. So this episode is your reminder. If there's something, like no matter how small it is, you have the power. No matter how small or big, you have the power to shift with your energy and your imagination. The more that you can remember your power and just choose to be more playful and more magical in the way that you're utilizing your power, it's a really beautiful way to live life. And when we're manifesting, the only thing that matters is how we're showing up right now. So like, regardless of whatever, if you were having an emotional reaction 5 minutes ago, you can choose a different route, like at any moment, and you can choose a different trajectory. So yeah, it's gonna be like your reality is gonna be a manifestation of whatever vibe or whatever state that you've been dominantly occupying yourself in, right? So like, if you're in, there's all just different kinds of states of being. And so like, if you're always leaning towards the magical and thinking about what's possible and how can this get better, and like, show me how good this can get. I love doing that. My partner Joe and I are heading to Vancouver for the weekend, and I love just saying like, when there's like something new ahead, or like if we're on a trip, or like, even if it's just like a day where you think that your day is just gonna be, if you think you know what's gonna go on that day, like just, I challenge you to just be like, how good can this get? Universe or God, show me how good this can get. And then just like anticipate the surprises and the fun and the joy and the delight and the laughter that is ahead of you. Because what you believe and the energy that you're occupying in is going to let life unfold in that energy. So the more that you stay in the magical and the how good this can get energy, you know, that will manifest more and interesting and new experiences. So that is my episode for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.